Well, let me ask you this, Stephen. And again, I mean, Georgia's going to be wildly favored, as is Alabama and LSU. I would be stunned if there's any magazine, if there's any SEC media, non-homer. There's always a couple hope. I mean, hell, somebody voted Vanderbilt to win the SEC. I think they just screwed up their ballot. But there's going to be wild picks out there, but there's not going to be many of them. So let me ask you this way, Stephen. Taking the assumed favorites, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU off the board, if you had to pick one team in the SEC that could realistically, stars align, win the conference, which other team aside from Georgia, LSU, and Alabama would be your selection? And it could be schedule, could be quarterback, whatever logic you want to use. Which one do you think could prove to be the ultimate dark horse, so to speak?
Man, that's a really good question. I think I'll go back to Texas A&M first of all, just because I always bank on talent. Like if a team's going to hit and they're going to exceed our expectations, it's probably one of two things. It's probably an older, like veteran team that maybe they have some super seniors, they've hit the right spots in the transfer portal, and everything comes together, or it's a team of talent. And I think we saw this last year with LSU. They had a ton of talent. It's just it was so much better managed under Brian Kelly, and he really hit on the coaching hires and the usage of the transfer portal. So I always look at those two things, and that's why I bring up A&M. I would be really surprised if they did. But if you told me that, hey, they get Alabama at home and they get LSU at the end of the year, and by then those question marks that we had, I could see that. Over in the East, I think it's Tennessee. I mentioned the question marks I have about Tennessee. I think defensively, I want to see how the offensive line continues to progress. But scoring points is not going to be a problem. Josh Heupel is going to reload this offense, and if it's not Joe Milton, I think we saw what Nico can do. I know that there was the whispers that he's not living up to the hype. I don't know. He looked like a pretty good quarterback to me in the spring game. So I love the firepower of Tennessee's offense.